object work. This is a new term that I learned since I met you.
Oh, really?
It is. And I think it is a very important thing to talk about for all those thinking about working both in print and on camera. But, I think there's a lot of things that we don't know about when it comes to when your end goal client is a physical product and not clothes, that there are certain ways that you want to hold things, right?
Right.
Let's run through some examples, I think. I think we're just going to jump kind of right into this, 'cause I think it's not as much a talk about, it's a show you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So first off, why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with object work and kind of what that means for anybody entering the industry as well as those who are in the industry that maybe, I don't know, maybe they're not as good at it as you are, because you literally got direct booked last night for a hand modeling job tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like basically the epitome of object work, right? Hand modeling is basically object work, kind of like, right?
Yeah, I feel like in time, after doing it over and over, you do learn and know what they're looking for and what looks aesthetically pleasing through the camera. Almost like, you want me to just go ahead and like tell you like specifics?
Yeah, let's run through some specifics.
Yeah, so like with commercial work or brands, they're going to want to show the logo. And you're always almost going to be holding something. And even if it's lifestyle, they're going to most likely wind up doing some close-up shots of like a macro shot or of the actual product, So if it was a drink like this, they want you to drink it, even though the lip is right here, it may be weird, but it's just a still, right? Just make sure you're not holding it like this, or you make sure so here's the camera, right? And so I'm going to pretend if I know it's a still shot, I know I'm going to hold it like this, and then I'm going to drink it like that. But and I don't really have to drink it. And right. I just go slow if they're doing like fast shutter,
Curious question, is it usually an empty can?
No.
Or is it an unopened can? Because like obviously like this is like a half full can. Like I can't go like that far.
Oh, right. They'll pour it out. They'll pour it out.
So it could be an empty can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It could be like an empty can. It could be an empty can for sure. Most likely if they really want a real tilt, sometimes they want to see the flow. Like I've had to do like this because they want like a really cool, fun shot where they want to see the flow of the drink, and it's crazy because it's like this, and you want it to.
So it's gonna come. It's gonna come out the side. Is what you mean? Like you're gonna do it like that, but it's gonna come out the side. It's still gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's
all trial and error.
Yeah.
Like they'll have to play it back and be like, oh, that actually looks a little weird.
Okay.
Oh, we could kind of. You just never know. Every shoot's gonna be different.
Because every can is probably a little angled differently.
It's all gonna be angled different. Sometimes it's gonna be right on the money, and you don't have to worry about stuff like that. But there's all this small little technical stuff. But yeah, in time, I think when it comes to hand modeling, there's just ways. You just have to think of the camera's point of view, and just always being open to it.
So on that note,
like wrist, like just little things, like, like so if I was holding, like pouring detergent, like this looks awkward.
To have that bend.
So you kind of, instead of, like, if you look at the shot, they're going to see that my wrist is overcompensating. It looks like it's hurting or something. Okay. So instead, you angle your arm so it looks like your arm is just reaching.
So you kind of want your joints to stay kind of locked. It's gonna look weird.
It's gonna feel weird, and this is not gonna feel normal like you're when you're actually pouring something, but it's going to look pretty aesthetically in the shot for the shot.
Right. And that obviously is depending on what their frame is for the shot, whether it's like just your arm or like your whole body. Because like they're not going to want your whole body looking like this.
Right.
If they're going to be on a wide shot. But a good talent recognizes that, right? A good talent knows to look out for the logos because
professional talent. Yeah.
Right. Your job is to make it easier for the production. Mm-hmm. So the more instinctively that you can just grab things, know how to hold them, look out for the logo, the more the production's going to like you because you're making their life easier, not having to change everything about what you're doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're not going to rip your head off. It's so easy. They're like, oh, you're just going to have to do it anyway. So they're just going to tell you, oh, twist it more to the right, twist it more to the left. Can you center it? Like, oh, can you move your thumb? You're blocking the name. Like, you're going to do it anyway. So I just already know that. And they'll cut you and you'll be done.
Yeah.
Get out earlier.
Yeah, and
You
sometimes
get the shot done, you move on to the next scene, or you're making everything flow faster.
Yeah. And, sometimes it may be a completely different ask that you're anticipating, but they have a completely different direction for it that they want to do. Like maybe their whole thing is like, way up here. So you're not going to hold it here, maybe. If you're going way up here, maybe they're going to want you to hold it maybe a little lower because it's like, the can is the hero.
Right,
and they want as little of your hand maybe in the shot as possible.
There's been times where I have to sit on the floor cross-legged and they want like a straight on centered thing. Like, and my wrist has to be straight, and this feels really weird. And like, because if you're doing, even if you're like this, but they want it to look like you're raising it up from the center, just right in the middle. And I'm like, down here, can't see me. You're going to be doing all these awkward things, but it's for the shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's going to feel weird, and sometimes it depends on what they're looking for. Sometimes they just really do want natural. They'll say like, oh, it looks too stylized.
Too staged.
They're like, let's, hold it however you would hold it.
Right.
They'll tell you.
Exactly. So part of it is trying to anticipate because you have worked in this industry before or because you watched this episode and you're going to do your next job. And part of it is just being good at taking direction.
Mm-hmm. It's listening. Yeah. It's listening.
Okay. So that's like cans. What's another like maybe common thing that you would look at with object work? Like what are things that you would commonly hold on set?
Anything. I mean, even if you're holding a box, a package, bag of chips, if it's chips. I mean, just everything is just, you want it to be open up to camera. So even if, say, this is a bag of chips and I'm eating it, I'm not blocking my face. I'm not doing this. You, as the talent, yes, you want to be seen. You want to be recognizable. So as long as you're open and the product is open in front of it, it's not out of the camera. Like it's right in front of you. It's facing forward. And you're eating it, everything is like open. Open. You see everything. Like you see me, you see the product. See me and the product.
Yeah.
And never blocking.
Right. Yeah. So you probably don't want to have your chips right here, grab it here, and then go up and probably like cover your face like this side, right? You probably wouldn't. Like if there was like a bag of chips and like the camera's right there, you probably don't want to, use this hand. You maybe want to use like the off hand, right? Like the
so you want to, so naturally I would want to hold the product here, grab it, and eat here.
Right.
Because everything's open. You see everything.
You see.
To
each their own, but it's just something to think about when you're on set, right? It's something to think about like, oh, okay, this is for Doritos. I know exactly, or I'm going to think about how I would want to hold a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's some homework that you do before you show up if you're not, super accustomed to it. But I think the point of this episode is to kind of just maybe give you something to think about when you have these types of jobs that are coming up. But this isn't just jobs, right? This is also for your auditions.
Auditioning.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What does it look like? Does it look any different with auditioning? Like I had an audition the other day where they literally were like, you need to eat toast. No faking it, no mining it. Toast. Eat toast. Like this is going to be for a bread company or whatever. Like we need you to speak with like your mouth like full. And I was like,
that's funny.
Okay. Like, what would that look like for you?
For eating toast?
Yeah. Like you've done eating commercials. You've done eating self-tapes. Like here's a burger. Like pretend you're eating a burger. Like you don't want to like, I don't know. You're not going to like hold the burger up here looking straight to camera.
Yeah. I'm always off to camera.
So
unless they in the breakdown, they specifically say eye line to camera, I will by default will be a little off.
So how far off? Like 6 inches off, like a foot off?
Just like literally, so if I'm looking straight to lens right now, I'll look like 10 degrees, 20 degrees off.
Okay.
Unless I want to do a 45, profile if there was a person, but I'm not going to stay there because I want them to see a little bit of my face.
Right.
So I want to live in the 20 to 45 degree.
Okay.
And then, it's nice to show a complete full side profile, and pretend you're talking to your friend like, oh yeah, cheers. When I think of object, I mean, feel like with bread, you're not really blocking. As long as if it's a brand, as long as you're showing the brand and you're not blocking your face. Bread, you're eating bread, no big, it's not really, it's covering your chin a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, it's really simple.
Okay.
Like I would just, if you had a brand, I think it's more about being realistic, right? Like what do you do when you're eating toast? Like I would just live life like as if I was eating toast in the morning. So I would just sit. All right.
So
I look at my food. I look at my food. I'm like, smell it. I don't even if it's a funny one, obviously they want you to chew with your mouth full.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds comedic already.
It is. It was absolutely comedic.
Automatically sounds comedic because if it were other thing, they want it to. You don't do that.
You wouldn't talk with your mouth full.
Unless it's a comedic smile. This is so good. And you're like picking your teeth. There's stuff in my teeth. You know, and like you make it super comedic.
That's good.
But yeah, like if I knew it was comedic, I would just start from the beginning. I would stare at it, really take long beats, like hold my toes, smell my bread. Do you smell your food? I've noticed I look at my food, like every time I audition, when I look at the playback sometimes, I notice I look at it before it goes in my mouth.
I think that's a normal thing. Like people don't eat spaghetti and go
and not look unless you're hungry and you're just scarfing it down. Yeah. Just keep it realistic as possible, yeah. But just eat it at an angle. I mean, I like to stay. I think this is a sweet spot. Yeah. So sweet spot's like right here. And if you want to cheat a little bit, look out sideways, take your another bite. When I think of object work, yes, there's that type of object work, but I automatically thought of object work without even the brand being there. With auditioning, you're pantomiming. Object work that comes from improvisation.
Okay.
So say I didn't have this, having the ability to do object work and pretend you have a drink here, and drink it, open to camera, and then drinking.
So would you rather do that than go and grab a can yourself? Because I've had an audition where they were like, go grab like a Coke. If you don't have a Coke, like grab a can and like wrap it in paper.
I will not go out of my way and get it unless they tell me specifically you need to have a bottle or have this.
So you would default
to competition.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you're doing like you just stay away from logos, stay away from other brands. You don't know if they're anti that brand, and you don't need to. Why are you gonna spend money? Or if you don't have it and just having that pressure, never do. Like you just pantomime it.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I do. I never.
And that's what we're here to listen because you are the pro. Oh. That's what you do. I'm here to listen and learn from you.
Yeah, they will tell you specifically. Yeah. We need the real thing. I want you to eat an actual burger. Right. And we need real food. We want to see how you really chew. But if they don't, I'm pretending to chew.
You're pretending. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that's important to know. Mm-hmm. That's super important to know.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So object work is really, and you learn that in improv. Yeah. When you take your improv class, that was definitely one of the biggest things, being able to work with your environment without them really being there and making it feel like you're really there. And that really helps to really, the more that you can paint the picture, because all you really do is have a backdrop. So it helps like to paint that picture. Like if you're in a car, like even if they tell me like, oh, like the breakdown will just say you're driving and you see, your favorite person wave, right? I'll like create the whole scene before you even going to just automatically driving.
Like get in the car, like put your seatbelt on.
I will open my door, get into the car. Do you want to see it?
Okay, so here's the breakdown.
The whole thing.
You are a mother of 3. One is in a baby seat in the back seat.
Are they crying?
They are frustrated after leaving Disneyland, and you're trying to get home. And so the scene is you leaving the parking lot of Disneyland and navigating the traffic. This is a really weird one, but yeah.
Navigating the traffic, because this is a luxury brand.
It's a luxury brand.
So the navigating of the traffic, let's say maybe the cruise control is there. I'm assuming their cruise control is what they're trying to sell, because it's a luxury and like I don't have to worry about it, and I could actually work like. I'm assuming that I could cater to my baby without worrying my car's gonna crash.
Cruise control.
They're going crazy.
Cruise control, auto drive, and it is noise canceling inside. you can't hear all the commotion outside at the theme park. Okay.
You're tough.
I'm tough. I'm tough.
So I just put the kids inside the car from Disneyland.
That's all you have. You do what you want from that commercial, from that breakdown.
Okay. Wow. But it's a luxury brand, so I want to stay collected. I know that I'm like an upscale mom who's raised well and is cool, calm and collected, and I have no stresses. Baby, it's okay. Don't worry. It's fine, honey. Okay? We're going to go home right now, honey. It's okay. Okay? I know. It's okay. We're almost there. It's okay, sweetie. We're almost just 5 more minutes, okay? Okay, I can put my cruise control on. Oh my gosh. I know. Do you want to listen to your favorite song? Let's put on your favorite song. Okay. Oh, you dropped it. Okay, I'm good. Oh, let me just control. Okay. Oh, here. There you go, babe. You okay? It's okay. Okay. Oh, see? Here we are. We're home.
Beautiful.
How was that?
That was beautiful.
That was kind of long.
It was kind of long,
It's
but
a very interesting, like, because I know
Very
luxury doesn't do chaotic, because they want, when you think of luxury, you think of
like peace
you're
and solace.
peaceful, because you think of peace because you've done the work to live this luxury life. So there's really no chaos usually.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the thing that stuck out to me the most from someone watching that self-tape, from someone that can learn from your self-tapes. You completed the trip.
Oh, I did.
You completed the trip. You know, it's not just now I'm just driving and sitting in there and then it's just like an awkward, like, done. It's like you completed the trip. You made it home. Like, you didn't feel the need to, like, get out of the car and, like, take them out of the seat or anything like that. But, like, I think that was an interesting thing for me to learn, is that, like, while that would normally be obviously like a 30-minute drive maybe, like, for the sake of the audition, you completed the trip.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know I was going to do that. That's where improv is. Like, I didn't really think I didn't know that I was going to complete the trip when I started this. I felt like that it just happened. I think in the moment I decided, if I show the relief, this cruise control got me to my house. Now my baby's home.
Yeah.
Thanks to this luxurious car that has really awesome self-drive cruise control.
Yeah, I mean, like, the improvisation is one part, but also, like, you weren't afraid to turn your back a little bit to the camera. You weren't afraid to, like, you know, you reached in the back seat, like, obviously, like, the turning, and then also, like, where's the cruise control? Like, another interesting point.
I made that one up. Yeah. I don't know. Actually, if I really thought about it, it's, like, usually on the
steering wheel,
right?
yeah.
Like, see, I don't know.
But also, it's like, you know, they have self-driving cars now, so who knows where that button is? I don't have a car like that.
That was just like that's probably where you turn off your engine. Oops, turn off my car.
But yeah, so that's okay.
But you don't have to do that. Okay, so with improv, with object work and things like that. Sorry, did I interrupt?
Oh, no. Sorry, I was just checking the levels because I'm self-producing our episode.
See, so how you deliver your audition is how you deliver your audition. You don't have to do that. What I did, do I think that's going to help me stand out? What do you think? Out of, if you got 100 submissions of different auditions, there's nothing wrong with what was it? You got your baby crying, and you're driving home from Disneyland. I didn't even make any Disneyland mark, but driving home. I could have just been like, it's okay, sweetie. I know, you must be so tired. I know, and I could sound stressed. I know, honey, it's okay. Come on. And beep and like honk maybe, or just like, let me turn on the music, and you could just be driving.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty good too. You know, I made the decision to paint a full picture and give them a feel.
Right.
And it's actually quite impressive. Like, you know, like, cause if it's a car, when you're on set, cause I've done a lot of cars, different brands, and they're going to tell you 10 on 2. You want to show the safety. You're putting on your seatbelt, you're checking the mirror, you're looking at this rearview mirror, you're reversing, you're looking at all your blind spots.
You're
like,
driving with
you're
two
showing
hands. Like,
safety.
You may normally drive like this, but on a commercial, you drive two hands. Like,
yeah, it has to be on 10 too. You can't use it if it's on one hand.
Yeah.
Even though we all know we drive in one hand. Come on. But yeah, they're gonna have it on 10 and 2. There's all these little things because I've been on set with cars. I know that's what they want, and so if you can show that safety, car safety, that's like, oh wow, like easier on set because you're gonna have drive the car. Most likely you're gonna drive the car. I think it just helps you stand out. Again, you don't have to do this. I just do that. But I think if I guess I cut you off. Sorry. Out of 100 submissions and you got more of just straight on driving, would you think that mine stood out? Like you'd remember that?
It absolutely stands out, and I also think that
just
it's like
oh whoa.
So much of commercial acting is improv, and so you showcasing your improv in your audition right there without taking too long to get to the action, right? I think that's an important thing to think about too.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to do the action.
Right.
Sure.
But from my perspective, again, also learning is that like it showcases what you can do with what's given, right? You don't always think that you have the ability to do more than what's asked, and sometimes you think maybe, oh no, sorry, they didn't want me to like look to the side, and then you're like, I better redo it. It's like it's improv. Yeah, everything's improv.
Sometimes they'll say keep it within 15 seconds, please. Right. Then I know I have 15 minutes. Did I say 15 minutes? 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute tops.
You give me 30 seconds, I do a 30-minute audition.
It'll tell you how much time they want it done. Okay. So then you improv within that frame. Yeah. Yeah. Every breakdown is different.
Okay, so that's cars and that's improv.
So that's
and that's
improv.
Auditioning.
So we could talk about like blocking.
Let's talk about blocking. Like we've mentioned that word multiple times already in this episode. But blocking is yes, it's a terminology used in the industry, but it's basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a term meant for blocking your face to camera.
Or the other talent's face. If you're working in a group or working with another person, you don't want to block them, or do you not want to block yourself?
Okay, so what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of blocking? What's the first like action?
Like pointing.
Pointing?
Like because a lot of times where we're improving and I'm like, oh look, look at the beautiful view. Oh my God, look at the seals jumping. I'm blocking your face completely. Like you can't even see your reaction because I'm doing this. Right. So
what would you do?
I would just like, oh look, honey, or I would either point and then remove it, or I would do it underneath you, just not your face. So either lower, higher, just a quick point, or like, oh look here. Okay. Yeah, pointing and so if it was my own, like I don't want to block my own face. Right. And I know I'm laughing about it. I've been guilty of that in the very beginning. Because when you're in the moment, and you're thinking natural. Like what would you do in real life? I don't have to think about that in real life because if you're really my friend and we're sightseeing, I don't have to worry about unblocking my face. Right. But in commercial aspect, I didn't realize it's definitely a practice. People had to tell me like, oh, can you use the other hand? Like, oh, okay.
Okay, like, so they did tell you.
Big difference with this. Yeah, yeah.
They told you.
They'll tell you. And that's with everything. Like, oh, can you just point with the other hand because you're blocking your face or you're blocking this or even scenery. But if you're going to point, don't block your face. Either open up here or if they want you to use this hand, point lower.
But when it comes to commercial work, you have to take into account the camera and also the light. Like if I did this right here, like I would create a shadow probably across my face. Do this, it creates a shadow across your face too.
Oh yeah.
So you also have light to think about.
Shadows, definitely. Shadows are a big thing. Yeah. And it's not just for them. It's for yourself. You want to be recognizable. You want to see your face. That's the Leo in me, like see me, see me. Yes. No, but it's also pay.
But if you block your face and they use that scene, you're no longer recognizable, and they can cut your rate by, from principal to extra.
Yeah, to unrecognizable, or you're gonna see your spot and you covered your own face.
And then you can't.
When you're like excited to tell when you tell your friends like, oh, I was on this commercial. Like, oh well, there's your shoulder. Which is fine too, and they're gonna want to use it because it's not about. In the end, it's not about you.
Right. But for yourself also.
But it's also for yourself, like you showing your face.
Yeah. So your default should be camera forward. Your default should always be come back to camera forward. Yeah. So even if I'm dealing with you, or if I'm dancing with you here, it's like in my hands. If I'm dancing with you and we're 90 degree, maybe sometimes we'll cheat, right? 45.
Right.
cheat a little bit a little bit towards the camera so you can see more than just like my 90. But you're there, I'm there, and then but you still will need to get the job done. You're thinking about this, but you still need to get the job done that you are realistically dancing in the club, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's not as crucial when you're on set because they'll direct you and tell you, and it's fine to be because they want it natural, right? They don't want like you're obvious trying to open a camera. It's more so my default when it's default to the front of the camera or 20 to 45 degrees is when I'm auditioning because they need to see your face to audition for the audition.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
that's when that's when you're like keeping it in your head. Like don't like you, they want the whole point of having the audition is seeing your face, seeing how you look while grooving, like do the same, when you're on set. Yeah, of course you want to open up and keep it as much as possible, but they'll most likely want it to keep it as natural as possible. So it's okay to live here.
Okay.
But they'll tell you at that point when on set, it's all about just listening. You're responsible for the start. And then from there, it's going to be a dance between the director and you. I think another really cool audition technique when it comes to how you like your body language and whatnot is like this was a lot more when you're in-person auditions, not so much self-tapes because you're not auditioning with people anymore. But see how we're sitting down and we're supposed to be, say, a couple or a group of like two friends. So I feel like look at us now, and what the camera reads is two people. I feel like what looks more friend is if we put our arms together and elbows close together. That is more intimate and more close and shows of a bond as opposed to two separate people that are removed. Because a lot of it, when you're paired up with people, the whole point is showing the dynamic and showing the relationship and the chemistry between the two people. Because if it weren't like then that's how they book you, through the chemistry. And do they look like friends? Do they feel like they're having a good time together?
Yeah.
So
like that's an easy thing to kind of
like a small little thing if you're ever in person or auditioning with another person, like a stranger, just automatic, like big difference from a sitting down like this. That's like kind of almost awkward. It's like, but I mean, right.
Or even like,
it's just
because I'm leaning away from you. You don't want me. You don't want me to lean away from you.
No, they want closer the better.
Right.
Yeah, and then
So hands
automatically it's going to be this just by having your hands on your elbows or forearms on the table, just automatic closeness, a shift in our dynamic for whatever reason.
Yeah, well,
and the closer you can get,
our arms are now
closer. It's more now like, and then I feel like how you act when you're improving, you're automatically close and you're having a good time. And now we're just like, oh my God, as opposed to here, you're starting off standoffish and it's like, oh, hey. And you're kind of, it's different.
Yeah.
But when you start off close, then you could be close. And
which this is awkwardly close for two people to normally sit and talk. Like how it looks on the camera, I'm not looking at it yet. I'll look at it later. But like this for the sake of like a shot for like the commercial, this is what they want.
Yeah.
But for you and me to be friends and sit and talk like this is too close for me.
Yeah.
Right? So that's getting out of your head about what you're normally doing to what you're doing for the camera.
Right.
And what you're doing for the sake of the scene.
Yeah.
So
that is close for you, but we're talking about we're professional actors.
Exactly.
And this is what we do.
Right. And my point is solely just what you think is normal for normal life is not normal for the camera. So bring it in
especially
close.
in an audition room that's like this small and you're this tight and the frame is this tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you bring it in close.
Yeah, you bring it in close.
Which is actually a good point because the commercial that I booked, right? I was a photographer and I was doing like a film camera and I was photographing a fight scene. And the fight was happening, if you lean back, the fight was happening right there. And they wanted me this close to photographing the full scene.
That makes no sense.
Right. It's because like, as a photographer, I'm like, I would never get that shot. Like I can't see that.
Like a 10 millimeter.
Yeah, like a super wide, like fisheye or something like that. But for the sake of the audition, they needed me there so that they could see me in the shot that's already framed for the sake of the fight, because they're also auditioning 3 other people there. And then I was the person, the photographer, in the back capturing the shot that they needed to see. So it was no longer practical for me to be there to take that picture. but that's what you do for the shot.
Right.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. And part of that again is just direction. So the first time I did that audition, I was still too far away. I thought I was close. I was not close enough. So they told me, we're going to run it again. We'll get closer.
Right.
And so I did.
Mm-hmm.
And like, again, it just goes back to taking direction.
Yeah. I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
And you'll learn that.
Yeah.
And because once they tell you over and over, and like you've learned the 10th, like, okay, they're going to want me to do this.
Yeah.
And they won't have to tell you. There you go. It just makes work easier.
I feel like there's probably a lot of things that people have been on where they want to tell us in the comments that they've been on and they learned with specific stuff, whether that's, you know, a water bottle, whether that's camping gear, whether that's, you know, hair products. You know, imagine doing your makeup or doing like hair and stuff like that, and you need to keep your elbows, you know, in line. I feel like there's a lot of things that, you know, you're always going to come across, but if you take across the principle that for the sake of the audition, you're always going to cheat the camera and you're always going to be open.
For the audition, yes.
For the audition. Mm-hmm. And then for the sake of the commercial and for the job, you take direction and listen.
Yeah. They'll tell you what they want.
They'll tell you
what they'll make you.
Yeah.
They can't move forward until they feel that's good enough.
Do you ever feel the need to like ask that question before, like, you know, before you start filming, like, hey, you know, should I stay open or should I like, you know, be natural?
Every time.
Every time.
Almost. I mean, yeah. For like, yeah. Do you want highlighted camera? Or it's usually never on, unless I'm reading copy. Unless it's like I'm a professional. I'm, you know, reading off a board. You know, delivering lines and stuff. Sometimes it is eyeline to camera, but they will state that. But yeah, I mean, that's actually great in the audition room. It helps you stand out too. Because it's
ask that question.
By asking questions, I feel like a lot of people are, I mean, and casting themselves had even said this, that they go over the whole explanation and everybody's like, do you guys get it? And everybody's like, mm-hmm. And they have no idea what, you know, how, like what they meant and what they wanted.
And then they buffed it all.
So yeah. And then if like, you know, just by throwing in like, oh, okay. So do you want like, do you want it to be like very commercial and very content, or do you want it real? Like, do you want it to be real? Because there's definitely a difference with like being real, relatable, and then the commercial version of it, which is like content and happy version of I'm having a good time, and the whole time I'm content and we're drinking and having a good time. But if I was like, you know, if we're in the house and we're really talking, it's like it's more real. I don't have to act like I'm happy, and when I want to drink, it's just really real and casual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So ask questions.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like things like that. Or do you want, I like to ask like, oh, do I line to camera, or do you want me to never look at never look straight on, you know? And they appreciate stuff like that. It's like, oh, she knows what she's obviously knows what she's doing, and she's not afraid to ask questions, and they'll remember you. Yeah. Because not everybody asks questions.
As a photographer, as a creator, I'm usually the one with all the information. And when you're a commercial actor, you have no information.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Ask the questions when you feel called to ask the questions. Sometimes they're like, that's a good question. What should we do? Like, sometimes you're creating together. You just never know. Yeah. And just like what you said, that's happened to me before. They asked me deliberately, and they say, just do what you would do. I would do what they do. Like, actually, you know, because you're literally creating in the moment, and sometimes what they have in their mind, like, doesn't read as what they thought.
Yeah.
You know, they have this whole mood board and they have this whole vision, and then when you're actually shooting it, it's like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
with
not
that
really
frame, with that light, with
with all the other elements that are coming into play, it doesn't work out in reality. So then you're creating together. So, you know, it's kind of we're all a team. Yeah. You don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, you know, mess up and all that stuff, because you're gonna figure it out together eventually. Yeah. It'll take longer.
The job will get done.
The job will get done.
Yeah. For those of you who are learning about this maybe for the first time, if you have questions, ask us. But also for those of you who have worked and have examples of your own, we'd love to hear like some of the things that maybe like happened to you on set, things that, you know, maybe you thought you were going in with the knowledge, and then, you know, they told you to do something completely different on set. And, you know, I just feel like there's a never ending source of examples and, you know, technique and whatever that we want to be able to use our channel to talk about and to give people the most information that they can.
The whole point of this, besides like the knowledge, is that we're a community, and we have each other's back. We have your back, and the whole goal of this is why we called it Book It. It's to help you book more and to make money. And we all know how tough it is out there and how competitive it is out there. And we're all just trying to survive. And so that's what we're here for, to help nourish and help build your craft and gain as much knowledge as possible and help you get an agent or a book or whatever it is that your goal is. So I think it would be awesome if you did leave your experiences, and because it's every set, every audition is unique. You're not going to have the same.
Everything, group,
every problem, obstacle that we come up with, even if it's the same problem, it's going to be presented in a different way. Whether it's something as lighting, whether it's because of like, who knows what the technicalities as to how we learned to overcome a certain obstacle. It's always presented in a different way. And I always think it's really interesting. And every job is so different. Every audition is so different. And I think it would be really awesome if we can really come together and be a community to just, you know, be there for each other. And because that's a whole point, right? Yeah. That's why we're here. It's not like
we're not trying to compete with each other. We're trying to uplift everybody.
Yeah, we know how tough it is. It's hard, and we can do it. We all can do it.
Yeah. So go out there and book it. With this information, we hope that you book it. And we appreciate you. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
So. Hot damn.
How do you feel?
That was great.